when it works. Welcome to the third Amazing Race 26 recap episode of the You Are Team Number podcast. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me, as always, is one Canadian who would love a trip to Prague, regardless of whether it provides breakfast, Logan Saunders.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Ben can't bother joining us this week, but he will be back twice in the next week. Once with us doing the recap episode next Sunday, and he'll be back with Michelle doing a special interview podcast with Amazing Race Australia versus New Zealand's Kat and Jesse this coming Wednesday. Yay! So please,
he's too good for us now?
Yeah, he's moved on to better things. So please send him in some questions, because he has to top our Guido cast. Yes, I'm competitive about it, because it's the one thing we can win at.
Yes.
And as with all our shows, we'll be live for about an hour, so please get in contact with us with any thoughts on this episode. If you're watching on Google+, you can use the Q&A. If you're watching on YouTube, you can post comments underneath this video, and of course, if you tweet us using the hashtag yatncast, which you can see when I am on the screen.
Hooray!
Hooray! So, what did we think of this episode, Logan?
Today's podcast is a bit special because it is International Women's Day, and it's two guys talking about the only Amazing Race season without any all-female teams. I thought we should get that out there before we get into this episode.
It's so appropriate. And I'm very disappointed Ben couldn't join us for this episode, because I suspect he would have had some quite fun thoughts, especially on Tyler, during the drag task.
Yeah, because we all know how much I like cross-dressing comedy.
Yeah. I went into that task thinking that Mike was probably going to have the most hilarious face, but no, it was Matt, 100%.
So, I'm glad that we didn't have to. I was afraid that we would see a lot of Harley and Jonathan's date night at the start of the episode, but maybe they were so boring that we only got to see 10 seconds of it. We only saw the lean against the rocks and the one amusing screen cap.
Yeah, the water mushroom. I'm a water mushroom.
Yep.
From what I've been hearing from behind the scenes, they are quite boring.
Indeed. We cannot elaborate as to how we know that for now, but somewhere down the road, possibly.
I've heard rumours of them being a little bit boring.
This is pretty much their most entertaining moment of the season. I mean, they're a water mushroom, and they look exactly like Toad from the Mushroom Kingdom.
Indeed they do. Don't ask me to do a Toad impression, but given I've been playing Hyrule Warriors instead whilst I was waiting for you. So previously, 10 teams raced to Nagano in Japan. A puzzling roadblock split the teams up for the first time. The detour left some team using their noodles and others on thin ice. Yet again, Jaylani and Jenny won the leg, but it was Libby and CJ who selfied their way out of the race, or, as Phil said, out of the leg. This really annoyed me when I watched this episode and watched the intro twice, because Phil did say, "I'm sorry to say you've been eliminated from this leg of the race, not from the race."
Oh, maybe we're going to get a little Amazing Race China up in here, and eliminated team will be brought back at the end of the season? Is that what Phil's hinting at?
Don't even joke about it. I'm annoyed enough at New China for doing what they did and messing up my spreadsheet.
You know what would be amusing, though, is with CJ and Libby. They could have gone with a terrible pun, and because they were in Nagano, they could have said that CJ and Libby were Gano, or just a terrible city pun that Phil could be capable of.
If you want me to include it in our finale recap when I run down how the teams were eliminated, I can do that. I've not started writing it yet. I usually write it after 3 teams have been eliminated. So teams must now fly to Phuket in Thailand and find Patong Beach to find their next clue. Caution, selfie sticks ahead.
Yep.
Soon as I saw what the the tags he'd be pulling was, I thought, oh, Logan's going to hate this. Logan's going to be annoyed at this.
Yeah. At least there were. I feel bad for Mark and Bill because while this leg featured streetwalkers, Mark and Bill from the Amazing Race 13 were forced to go to Comic-Con and look for skywalkers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they were. But yeah, I do just tend to watch Amazing Race thinking, oh, Logan or Ben are going to get annoyed by this.
It's a long list now, I think.
Yeah. Having said that, not as bad as 24 so far. Gonna put it out there.
There's a lot of similarities so far to 24. Because we'll get to the end of this episode here, but teams check in a way that very much reminded me of a lot of legs in TAR 24, where everyone is unnecessarily close together.
Having said that,
I will say, though, that nobody has lost their backpack in 26 yet.
I was going to say, at least everyone came into the pit stop with all their clothes!
Is that the only thing that happened in all of Season 24? Just Mark forgetting his backpack and that he ain't got no clothes?
It is, however...
And that's like baby bear soup?
Yeah, if nothing else, it is, however, going to be the thing that we keep referencing from 24. Purely because I quite enjoy doing the accent.
You know what I enjoy with this season too? The monkey in the intro. I haven't had a chance to mention that yet, but there's a monkey that's just scratching the side of its head. And I think we saw it here in the Phuket leg too.
Yeah, I think we did as well. It's I do like the fact that they are still changing the intro images. They've not kind of given up like Survivor has.
What? No intro?
At least Survivor and The Amazing Race did publish their full intros online beforehand, so we have seen the full intros for Survivor, even if it's not actually gone on.
Oh, did you? I'm not sure if you got to see where you are, but there is a very interesting Amazing Race commercial that aired after the intro this episode.
I did not see it, but I heard it was something to do with the Fitbit.
Yes. Fitbit said that teams on the previous leg burned 99,000 calories, don't quote me on this, and that it is equivalent to eating 197 bowls of ramen noodles.
Which would be about 5,500 per person, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So that was 99,000 calories.
I think yes.
Yeah. So that is quite a lot then.
Unless I put an extra zero in there by mistake. Maybe it was 9,900 calories. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention too much. I just thought, oh, this commercial is a bit ridiculous. It's like Probst at the San Juan del Sur reunion, telling people how many calories a survivor eats every 3 days, and giving a bowl of rice to some 7-year-old in the front row of the audience.
I'm enjoying Worlds Apart more than I'm enjoying Amazing Race 26, though. Worlds Apart has the potential.
I'm 100% in agreement of that.
Yeah, Worlds Apart has the potential to be awesome. And also legitimately surprised at the ending, which was nice.
Yes. No spoilers, Mike.
Yeah, I won't go into spoilers if you've not seen it yet, but seriously, it was on 4 days ago now. Get up to date, people. So, yay for airport scrambles as well. It's nice to see the return of an airport scramble.
Although, it doesn't really mean too much in the end for 8 out of the 9 teams.
It was
stupid equalizer.
To be fair, it was a fairly sort of classic TAR opener of having an airport scramble and then having an overnight rest stop as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to diss this part too much. It's just that it went a bit too long without teams doing nothing, because even when they land in Thailand, it takes a while before they even get to do a task.
Big plus point compared to 24, the fact that there's actually airport scrambles. The fact teams are not put on predetermined flights.
Indeed.
So there's 4 flights. Matt and Ashley, Ali and Steve, Blair and Haley, Jeff and Bracky, and Mike and Rochelle are on the first flight, scheduled to arrive at 4:50 p.m. And then Jaylani and Jenny and Laura and Tyler are on the second flight, scheduled to get in at 9:10. Bergen and Kurt are on the third flight, which gets in at 11:59 p.m. And Holly and Jonathan are on the fourth flight, scheduled to get in at 9:35 a.m. the following day.
It's like the opposite of being Colin and Christy when they flew from Russia to Egypt there. Instead of being 12 hours ahead of everybody, you end up 12 hours behind everybody.
Well, yeah, between the first flight and the last flight, there was pretty much a day between them, if you think about it.
Yeah.
There's only
enough time for Jeff and Bracky to pick out each other's underwear for the rest of the race.
They are so banging.
Yes, they are.
There is no question anymore. They are banging. Scott, How I Met Your Mother. Bang, bang, bangity bang instead of bang, bang, bangity bang. Ba-bang, bang.
It would make the season a lot more interesting. I guess we can put it that way.
Yeah. And also, according to Haley, this is how I feel like traumas happen.
What's that?
Haley said that on the drive to Patong Beach that this is how I feel like traumas happen. I'm a trauma nurse, and this is how I feel like traumas happen. So, as we mentioned, Patong Beach is an overnight rest stop with 3 departure times and 3 groups of 3, with all their times attached to selfie sticks, because if you didn't notice, they've had selfie cams.
Yes. Now we have sticks for the selfies.
Yeah. The sticks, which are banned from quite a few public places now.
Really?
Yeah, including a lot of museums and art galleries. So, leaving at 8:30 a.m. Are Ali and Steve, Matt and Ashley, and Mike and Michelle. Jeff and Bracky, Jaylani and Jenny, and Blair and Haley have 8:45, and Bergen and Kurt and Laura and Tyler have 9 a.m. And Holly and Jonathan, as we said, get in at 9:35, so they can just go straight to the hotel front desk and pick up their clue.
Because they didn't have to share rooms with other teams.
They didn't.
I was surprised they didn't have I'm surprised they didn't have Jenny and Jelani on departing first with the other teams, because I thought they'd get a time credit for Jenny's awful pun at the start of the show, where she said that she wanted to set the bar high. She's a lawyer and she wanted to set the bar high. Come on now, Jenny. Come on.
I'm not sure it's a deliberate pun, but yeah, she gets the seal of approval for this. And the best thing is, her surname's actually Wu, so it works.
Yeah, following in her cousin's footsteps. I don't know. You heard this rumor here first.
Yes, you heard this scurrilous rumor that Jenny Wu and Alan Wu are actually cousins. And after the overnight rest, teams must now find Barn Talanka, the upside-down house, to find their next clue, which is probably the fairest detail we've had all season, but not by much. Ski or tree? Yay!
One that's impossible and one that isn't.
It reminded me a lot of the Malta detail, this one, actually. So in ski, teams must find a wakeboarding park and each complete 1 lap of the course attached to a rope that can pull them up to 20 miles an hour. Once both team members have completed the course, they would receive their next clue. And in tree, teams must travel to a ziplining course and deliver a complete meal with all the items on a menu, Blair and Haley, across the ravine to receive their next clue. And yeah, it was a very, very imbalanced detour again.
The detours really are in the toilet this season. They found it in the toilet, and it definitely went down the toilet in terms of how it played out.
Yeah, they really need to try and balance the detours a little bit.
I have a feeling that the focus of this season is not really on the tasks. I don't know if you've caught on to that after 3 episodes. Pretty much, if you like dating couples and talking about relationships, this is your season. Otherwise, you're going to be one of those people that are angry on the internet all season long, because I have a feeling that is not going to change anytime soon unless everyone becomes friends like Kurt and Bergen.
Having said that, after 3 episodes, it is officially no longer a dating team season.
All right, right.
Technically.
So much for that concept.
Yeah. So suck on that, World Race Productions. You're wrong. It's not a dating team season anymore.
Imagine if there's some 40-year-old on the internet acting all bitter, writing the producer saying, "You said this was a dating season, but the team just got engaged. You have to change the name of the season now."
What I would love even more is if there's a twist sort of halfway in the season where people have to switch partners and they then split up the engaged couple. That would make. Oh, I'd love that. Or if it's just random draw and then Bergen and Kurt end up getting each other again.
Yes. And they're just brought back every season just to do that alone. And on the Amazing Race 29, breaking Jettencourt's record of playing 7 million times, it's Kurt and Bergen forced to race with each other again. It would be very Celebrity Jeopardy-ish, where you always have Sean Connery there for some reason or other.
Shock it, Trebek.
Yes.
With Turd Ferguson.
Yes. Turd Ferguson, funny name.
What can I say? I've been to their studios. So Blair and Haley completely ignore the menu for fun. And then Haley doesn't let Blair forget
Just Blair did.
Yeah.
And the lawyers.
Yeah, Blair...
The lawyers could. Lawyers apparently can't read instructions. That's a bad sign.
I like the fact that Jaylani and Jenny actually said at the start of this, like, oh, we're just getting on so well. We're just trying to stay in sync and not fight. And then you have, the between them completely ignoring the instructions this time and, by the look of things, next week, them fighting. What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. Still no mention of the Express Pass, thank God.
No, which is very nice. I like the fact that they seem to have completely forgotten about the Express Pass, because I'm hoping we can eventually. So everyone ends up doing Tree, with Mike and Michelle leaving first, Blair and Haley in second, Laura and Tyler in third, Bergen and Kurt, Jelani and Jenny, Ali and Steve, then Matt and Ashley and Jeff and Brecky, and then bringing up the rear, as with the rest of this leg, Ali and Jonathan. And teams must now make their way to My Way Cabaret, or Ladyboy Show, as the taxi driver called it, to find their next clue. Caution, date night cards ahead.
It should be noted that Blair forgot to read the sign at the detour, and that he messed it up and dropped down him and Haley a couple spots.
Yeah.
I just thought everyone should be reminded of that.
If you consider that, actually they ended up leaving in second. They left the overnight rest stop.
It could have been first.
An equal fourth. Yeah, they could have actually won this leg, which is hilarious. So when teams get to My Way Cabaret, they find out it's an active route info and a task we've been looking forward to just for screen capping purposes, which is to join a drag show and learn a routine. Once the lady judges are happy with your performance, you receive your next clue. And in the best twist possible, Bergen and Kurt receive the date night card.
I wish it was non-transferable.
I am so disappointed we missed out on this. Because there is nothing funnier than awkward TV in this sort of season. And given that if you pause the show at the right moment, you will have seen that the date night for this leg was a romantic evening on the beach at the pit stop. It could have been hilarious.
Yeah, they could have. They wouldn't have been up to anything good, I guess. They would have just been fooking around, as they say in Phuket, Thailand.
Maybe they would have just been like, Phuket. Let's just go for it.
Phuket. Date night.
So, sadly, there is not much to talk about with this task, apart from the fact that Matt looks hilarious. Matt wins the prize for most ridiculous-looking drag queen in this episode.
Not to be outdone by Travis, I suppose.
Not to be outdone by Travis.
The only time that intentional drag comedy has ever been funny since Bugs Bunny in the 1950s.
And
And even then, that's stretching it.
if you would have asked me to screen cap Travis, I probably would have done. I would have found it. But sadly, we have no Travis screenshot. Uh, but it's Mike and Rochelle and Blair and Haley leaving in first and second respectively, and then Jaylani and Jenny in third, Matt and Ashley in fourth, Ali and Steve in fifth, Laura and Tyler in sixth, and then Bergen and Kurt, Jeff and Bracky, and Holly and Jonathan. And luckily, Steve has no shame.
Yeah.
Above everything else.
I really have nothing to say about the Olympians after 3 episodes. I can't even come up with a witty remark or a pun based off of anything they've done in the past 3 episodes. Even with them screwing up by going to the water ski detour first, they still didn't fail in a spectacular fashion there that doesn't really warrant any sort of joke.
I'm hoping we'll see more entertaining bits of Ali and Steve, because I do think they have the potential to be entertaining. It's not like the Canadian Olympians where, you know, I could kind of take them or leave them, apart from Olympian Puke, obviously. But I think Steve especially has the potential to be funny. They just haven't shown them at all.
You know what would have been fitting with the wakeboarding task is if they had the Fonz there to demonstrate it, and he would jump over a shark, because it's very symbolic of this season and where the Amazing Race has gone.
He was too busy living in London now. And dealing with his unruly children, Mona Lisa and John Ralphio, who are literally the worst. The worst.
And also being a lawyer, representing George Michael and the rest of the Bluth clan there.
Did you read that on Bob Loblaw's Law blog?
Yes, I did. It's not the most entertaining blog. It's a pretty boring blog by Bob Oblaw's blogging standards.
And once teams leave the active routine flow, they find out that the pit stop is at the Deku Bar Bar's Nest rooftop bar. The last team to check in here may be eliminated.
It's like their attempt at recreating the Singapore's rooftop pool and resort.
Yeah, the
except with about 1,000 feet less of elevation.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty impressive place for the pit stop, which is nice. It's nice to see them actually reasonably try with a pit stop. Makes a change.
Yeah, I guess it was a bit more creative. It wasn't a parking space with a parking attendant that looked a lot like the parking attendant in Shin Megami Tensei Devil Survivor 2 standards.
I was going to say, at least it wasn't a parking space.
Yeah. If only they had a Ford Focus auto park for that task. If only.
I'm dreading where we're going to get the product placement cars, because it's going to be fairly soon, probably.
The auto park would have been funnier, because it would have said, "Oh, you just ran over Phil Kogan."
Yeah, maybe they should have just had them having to drive up to the pit stop in leg one, and then have to back out, because otherwise no one else can check in. Would have been entertaining at least.
There's a bad joke that I could say here, but I'm not gonna say it.
As far as what? So surprisingly, if you looked at the stats from last week, Mike and Michelle came in first.
Yeah. How about that?
Well done to them. I'm proud of them, because I actually like them.
Yeah, I thought this seems like they're going to be major characters, and apparently Rochelle might be ready for Mike to meet her son, because we didn't hear any word of that this episode.
And given that they jumped up like 3 places in the average rankings just from winning this one leg, they actually had a very good week.
Mm-hmm.
As did.
It's too bad it wasn't a trip for 3, because if it was a trip for 3, then maybe Mike would actually be able to meet her son, but because it's a trip for two, the son is going to have to be left behind.
Yeah, they win a trip to Prague with no visits to holy statues, no visits to the heat-changing places, and no drinking absinthe, necessarily. Cryatorium was the word I was looking for.
And no Henry and Terry.
And most importantly, above everything else, no ringing phones trying to give you the letters for Franz Kafka's name.
I know. That's tougher than 10 Japanese puzzle boxes combined.
And also having a very good week, bringing themselves up from the bottom of the rankings, was Blair and Haley.
Even with Haley's very careful walk at the detour there, she could not have walked up those slopes to the zip line any slower. And if, in case you forgot, Blair misread the board for the instructions on how to get across the zip line. So even with those two major mistakes, they still finished second.
I know Ben told us not to be mean about Haley, but oh well, Ben's not here to stop us.
I think Haley's pretty much the best character around. If you don't take her seriously, she's a very fun character and the only one that stands out.
Well, it says a lot that we went into the preview thinking we were going to be talking about Bracky all the time, and actually we were talking about Haley all the time.
I think my only notes on Jeff and Bracky, besides the underwear comment and pretty much all the other comments, is Jackie trying to do the wakeboarding task, and the way how her body just jerked around when she fell in the water the last time before they switched. That is a funny visual.
They had a terrible week.
Yeah, what was up with that finishing right near the bottom there?
If Harley and Jonathan didn't suck so much, they would have come in last. Oh. So Jaylani and Jenny stay in the top three, as always. Laura and Tyler were fourth. Ali and Steve were fifth. Sixth was Matt and Ashley. Or should I say Alan and Adre? Or should I say Sally and Tyson? Or, maybe I should actually put their screen cap up, really. And
I think we should have a ban on proposals for the next 5 years of The Amazing Race. Unless it's a woman that proposes to the man.
Don't, you'll incur the wrath of Casey Hopkins. Did you really think that they were going into a dating season without hoping and praying someone would propose?
You know what would be even better? There's two scenarios that this could have been better. One, Matt lost the fanny pack, and the ring was next to the fanny pack, so we completely forgot it at the pit stop. Or two, another dating couple was planning on proposing, and Matt just stole all of their thunder, and now they can't propose on the race for the rest of the season.
Why did he propose here as well? That's what I don't get.
Because all the other teams were there, and and producers said, okay, we're not going to do any selfies. We only have one selfie to air on TV. Whoever does it better make it good. And sure enough, they take the selfie right after the guy proposes.
Yeah, but surely if you're going to propose on the race, you do it at the finish line. Unless, of course, you get
eliminated. Or when you're eliminated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody's been doing that, because Alain didn't do that. Tyson didn't do that. Only Aaron of Hayden and Aaron from Amazing Race 6 proposed upon elimination.
At least Alain did it in the City of Love. Paris was probably the most appropriate place on the race to do it, at least. And also we got...
And for them.
Yeah, and also we got Audrey shouting on the banks of the river saying, "I said yes!" Which
She sounds a lot like Mark Jackson there. The French accent and a Kentucky accent are the same thing.
I don't have no yes! And we've done our usual thing of going way of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we went into Amazing Race Canada 2 that we did think that Elena and Audrey were probably going to be the villains, but that was such a good cast. Elena and Audrey were hilarious, especially with the proposal and her going, "I said yes." They were
And their comments online if you attack them.
yes. Yeah, Audrey is she's living up to her intro image of being a little bit combative. Still, nothing.
All right.
Nothing
Should
will
we
ever
get back
beat.
to the race?
Just on one last subject, on the subject of intro images, nothing will ever beat the Michelle and Joe from Amazing Race Australia 2 when you get there. You'll understand what I mean. It is the most amazing intro image ever.
It'll be even better than Isaac and Williams.
Oh yeah. 2 words for it. Confetti cannon.
Whoa! That sounds very Phoenix Wright-ish.
It's awesome. I love it. So Bergen and Kurt come in 7th, and being the nice, lovely people who definitely didn't want to spend another second with each other, they gave up their date night to Matt and Ashley.
Instantly.
Instantly. And I know that whenever you send Bergen the links, Bergen does watch these. So Bergen, I'm not mocking you, but a little bit transparent. We know that you blatantly didn't want to spend the evening with Kurt.
I have a feeling that feeling is mutual between the two of them.
Yeah, I felt a little bit bad for Bergen when he started crying about the proposal.
I wonder if they're a bit annoyed with Tyler, or rather Team Horse Unicorn, for Tyler nicknaming them Ken and Ken. Mildly offensive, I would say.
Tyler had a bad week for being offensive, and Ben would point this out. But between him constantly calling himself a lady man, and between him calling
and the castration.
The castration, yes, the bleeps out castration, and him calling Bergen and Kurt Ken and Ken, he really is setting himself up to be, for want of a better term, the prick of the season. The one that when we...
unless the castration settles in for him, then he won't be able to be the prick. But not a good week for him.
He's turning out to be the racer that when they inevitably get eliminated, Ben will then rejoice on the podcast and be like, "Ha! Screw you, Tyler. Screw you."
Will it even notice if he's eliminated yet, though? Because this is the only impression he's made in all 3 episodes. He's probably going to go back to fading in the background, and we'll have no idea who he is for the rest of the season.
To be fair, it will be a loss if they get eliminated purely because of how ridiculous Laura couldn't be. Laura is almost as high maintenance as Jackie. And I kind of want her to be a complete horrible person too, because it would be hilarious.
She needs to experience the second round from Amazing Race Asia 3 when they go through Vietnam. I think something like that could break down our favorite unicorn of the season.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't get to where she was in her job by not being pushy or anything.
No, not at all.
Jeff and Bracky came in 8th, and bringing up the rear, probably by about 2 hours, was Harley and Jonathan. Sadly, it's an non-elimination leg, and even more sadly, the return for the 15th season of Speed Bumps. 15.
Which is I think a bit of a coincidence, because it'll probably take 15 minutes or less to do the speed bump.
All depends on how far behind they are, let's be honest. They were definitely at least...
Did you know that?
At least 35 minutes behind.
Sorry, go ahead.
They were definitely at least 35 minutes behind, if not more. As soon as they landed in Thailand, at least.
Even with Harley being the Rock, they couldn't catch up.
Yeah, I suspect that the speed bump won't kill them. The fact that they're probably at least 2 hours behind probably will.
Yeah.
I don't have much hope for Holly and Jonathan surviving next round.
They don't seem too competitive
No.
Other than Harley being the Rock and a yin or a yang or whatever other metaphors that Jonathan came up with, uh, I don't think they're going to survive much longer. I think this was strictly a promotional appearance for the New Kids on the Block brand.
One thing I am surprised at, Jonathan is apparently quite a big fan of Amazing Race, because he did say he's been trying to get on for years.
Maybe just to promote the brand. Maybe that he hasn't seen an episode. He said, "Oh, I've been trying to get on the show for years. This would be a great way to break into the public eye again. Not just I'll finally be recognized by people under the age of 35."
I didn't have him pegged as being a sort of. I had him being pegged more as a stunt cast than than anything else, at least.
Yeah, maybe I should give him some credit.
Yeah,
He probably is a fan of the show.
just.
But it's just that this New Kids on the Block TV show, whatever else is going on right now, just happens to coincide with being on The Amazing Race.
Yeah,
A bit suspect.
it is fairly convenient, shall we say. So, yeah, next week we have Bangkok, Matt and Ashley being madly in love, Blair and Haley, and Jaylani and Jenny really not. And notice how in the trailer we saw nothing of Harley and Jonathan. We didn't see what their speed bump would be. We didn't see any image of them. Which is
We're
why
just going to hear their soundtrack the whole time. We're not going to physically see them. It's just going to be one of Jonathan's pop hits from the late 80s or early 90s just to indicate, hey, these guys are here, but they're doing nothing, so we're not going to show them.
they might even Mark and Abba them. Or James and Abba them, even. Just sort of go, oh yeah, they've got a speed bump. Yeah, let's just kind of show it as they're getting eliminated. Depending on how far behind they are. Not a lot more that they could do, I don't think.
Yeah. But yeah, this non-elimination was really the shockingest shocks of all shocks to ever be shocked ever since John Shockington of the Amazing Race Canada for not being eliminated.
I mean, I kind of knew it had to be this week purely because after next week we're going on a 2-week break. Yay! So
Isn't it 3 weeks?
I thought it was 2. It's we got an episode. Yeah, we got the episode on the 13th, and then it's 3 weeks down. So 3-week break.
So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do between now and then?
I don't actually know because it's probably the right time to do another spoof one, but it depends on how much material they give us.
That is true. That is true.
I do kind of want to do another spoof one. Because the last time we saw
It'll be just as believable as anything else that's happened so far this season.
Very true. So I think we're pretty much in agreement that Harley and Jonathan are dead in the water.
Yeah. They're not going to make it out of this alive.
No. I don't even know what the next country after Thailand is. I know that there's a country between Thailand and Namibia, but I can't remember which one.
That's probably the next one.
Namibia's not the next one. Namibia's like 6, I think.
Oh no, I meant the one between Thailand and Namibia. I think I know which one it is.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. I do know.
I won't spoil it.
I'll find out next week anyway, if nothing else. So, thank you very much for watching and listening. You can join us yet again, same time next week, for another recap podcast. If you enjoyed the show, and even if you didn't, please give us a like on YouTube. And if you want to see what we're rambling about this week, our Twitters are in the description below. And if you want to follow Ben especially, his Twitter has changed this week because, he's decided it was uncool to be Inky McKingston anymore. He's now Ink1Y. And if you've not heard the interview that Logan and I did with Amazing Race Royalty Team Guido, the link is also down there. And finally, as I mentioned in the intro, our very own Ben will be joined by Michelle to sit down with Kat and Jesse from last season of the Australian race. So they need questions, so you can send them in either as comments down below or on our Twitters, or alternatively at yatncast@gmail.com. So thank
Isn't
you
Michelle
again.
her own too?
Yeah, Michelle does have her own Twitter, which is at bear333333. 6 threes.
Make sure you count the threes correctly. Otherwise, you may be talking to the wrong person, and that person will be very confused.
Best thing to do is just tweet using hashtag yatncast, because we'll just find them then. So yeah,
more people should do that.
That will hopefully be up on Wednesday evening, assuming I have time to edit it. I'm assuming there isn't much to edit, because if it's anything like the Guido cast, it'll take me about 3 hours. Yay! So yeah, see you next week.
Farewell.
Farewell.